continue on the path we're on, and you and me and others don't step up and do more, our estimates are that we could see 1,000 more Chicagoans die from this virus by the end of the year.
That was Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who yesterday announced a 30-day citywide stay-at-home order. The U.S. has now hit its single-day COVID-19 case record, logging 144,000 new cases yesterday. Mayor Lightfoot's warnings come despite the fact that she was partying in the streets just days ago following news of media outlets projecting Joe Biden as the next president. She wasn't the only one. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on that very same day. Oh, look at that. No mask, Schumer. What's up with that? Hypocrisy in action, that's what's up. Clearly, left-wing politicians are immune from COVID-19, but you have to cancel your Thanksgiving plans. That's what they want you to know. Friends, time for a Buck Brief. Ah, yes. Can they cancel Thanksgiving? They're going to try. That's what they're telling you. But I have a feeling some of the people out there in positions of authority and power, whether it's the media or the political class, they're going to tell you, you cancel your Thanksgiving. You don't get to see, your Aunt Ethel and your cousin Bobby. Nope, not allowed. You have to just do it virtually. Sit there with a depressing little TV dinner, looking at relatives on Zoom and hoping you don't start arguing about politics. Not allowed to be around people, enjoy a big turkey, and just be together as a family. And understand that it's not perfect. There are risks. Every year you've been doing that since you were born, by the way. There was the possibility of people giving the flu to each other, including to elderly relatives who could die from it. I know COVID is worse than the flu, but we all take risks in life, friends. But what you'll notice is that the people that are out there telling you to cancel your Thanksgiving, they're not going to cancel theirs. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, big lockdown guy, big fan of it. He's out there telling people that they need to make sure they're super careful. Just last week, more than a dozen people gathered with him. There's a 10-person rule. A dozen people gathered to celebrate a birthday party. You see, this is what you forget. All these lockdowners and mask shamers, they want you to know that your Thanksgiving with your family, that your birthday or your loved one's birthdays, funerals, weddings, none of that is important enough to take any risks. But their stuff is important. They get to forget about all this guidance and rules because, they're important people. Come on. Yeah, do what you're told, peasant. That's the message you're actually getting from these people. They don't really care about you. They don't really care about their own actions. But it feels good, doesn't it, to be out there and tell everybody, listen, we're going to be united in this battle against a virus. Here's Dr. Anthony Fauci, the Fauci, as I like to call him, telling everybody straight up, like we're little children, do what you're told.
I was talking with our UK colleagues just today who were saying the UK is very similar to where we are now in outbreak because each of our countries have that independent spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told.
Do what you're told, peasant. That's what they want you to know. That's what they want you to take away from all of this. Hold on a second. I remember when we were told by the same people, by guys like Dr. Fauci, that we were supposed to not wear masks. In fact, if you wore masks in March and April in New York City, and they were N95 masks, you were a marked person because you were taking those from healthcare providers who needed them. You didn't need them. You were fine. That was the official guidance. And it's not like we're talking about guidance that existed 100 years ago. It's not like it was some other era of history when we didn't have microscopes or we didn't understand what germs were. Earlier this year. But now it's do what you're told and listen. Make sure you don't have too much fun at Thanksgiving. Limit it to 10 people. Why? Why not limit it to 2 people? Why not limit it to 20 people? They just come up with all these arbitrary numbers all the time, like 25% indoor dining in New York City. And cutting it off at 10 o'clock at night. Oh, because you weren't going to get COVID if you're there at 9:30, but if you're there past 10 p.m., the virus has had some tequila at that point, and the virus wants to party. No, of course not. That's crazy. But these are the rules we're being subjected to all the time. Mask up in between bites. Do as you're told. And even people in the Trump administration have, unfortunately, bought onto this because Now, there's no benefit for telling people, we can't protect you really. Here's the guidance we have. Make your own decisions. Try to be safe. We're hoping for the best. Vaccine's coming. That's reality. Nobody wants to talk about reality. They want to say, make sure you mask up. And I say, well, what about when I get into a taxi in New York City and the driver pulls his mask up after I get in the car? So he's been breathing in that car for, I don't know, a couple of hours maybe, spewing if he's got virus all over the place. Oh, but don't worry, I've got my mask on. Is that really going to protect me? Interesting. I wonder why actual healthcare workers, when they're dealing with pathogenic outbreaks, will wear respirators and much more serious gear, but I digress. So we have Azar, Health and Human Services Secretary. Here's what he says.
Wear your face coverings, because I want to make sure, even if we make sacrifices this Thanksgiving and Christmas, those sacrifices are for a reason, so that everybody you want to be with will be here for next Thanksgiving and next Christmas.
And as I said, I'm grateful to you, Mr. Secretary, for saying that. I would be grateful, very pleased, if the President of the United States were to follow your lead and say the same thing, because there are a lot of Americans out there who support him, who are totally opposed to putting on a face mask, to wearing a mask, and that is so dangerous.
It's actually not true that there are that many people that oppose putting on a face mask all the time. You know, there was the IHME, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation out of Washington University. They published that study that said that 120,000, 130,000 or so lives will be saved if only we mask up. And that's what the Biden national mask mandate is supposed to be about. They were using numbers about mask adoption and compliance from the beginning of the outbreak, when it was about 40% nationwide. Now it's more like 80 to 90%. And isn't that fascinating? Because we have much higher mask compliance, and we just set an all-time record in cases yesterday. What's going on, folks? I was here in New York City. We were all wearing masks. People were wiping down their groceries with Lysol when they got home. Not a good idea, by the way. Not very safe to wipe the Lysol on the apple before you eat it. They were doing all these things, and the cases still kept going and going and going. Europe right now is actually in a decline from a peak, and it always goes along this about 6 to 8 week long curve. As if the virus spreads, it gets to a certain degree of spread in a society, in a group, and then it begins to recede again. But we're going to be told it's because of masks, you see. We're going to do all this stuff, we're going to go all these lockdowns 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks in, and there'll still be cases, and it'll still be happening, and they'll say, you're not doing enough. What's enough? And what's too much for the government to do? What about constitutional rights? I thought those were things that still counted in this country, but apparently I'm wrong. The Mississippi governor, Tate Reeves, is saying, well, his state's not doing this lockdown thing. Play it.
We're not going to participate in a nationwide lockdown. This notion that one of his advisors has said that all we really need is about a 6-week national lockdown and we can slow down the spread of this virus is totally and completely beyond reasonableness. The people of Mississippi can't just go home, shut down their small businesses, shut down their restaurants, shut down their gyms, shut down other small businesses for 6 weeks and just think that you can come back 6 weeks from now, flip a switch, and everything's going to be fine. It's not the way the economy works.
Setting up for a showdown perhaps between a possible Biden federal mandate and states that say we're not going to enforce this mandate, we're not even going to abide by this mandate, and we'll see how that one shakes out, because we know those centralized powers in the Democrat Party, they love it. One more thing. So much focus on testing right now. Yes, I've seen ICU numbers very high right now nationwide comparatively, about where they were in May, and also hospitalizations with COVID high. So I'm not saying it's just cases, but I think it's important we understand what's going on with cases. Elon Musk, you know him because of Tesla, among other things, he tweeted this out. Something extremely bogus going on. Was tested for COVID 4 times today. 2 tests came back negative, 2 came back positive. Same machine, same test, same nurse. Rapid antigen test from BD. Guess what? All of these PCR tests have built into them or I should say, an expected failure rate. And when you're doing millions and millions of tests, even an expected failure rate of, say, 2 or 3% starts to add up very, very quickly, doesn't it? Remember when we were told that testing was the key to getting out of this and tracing was the key to getting out of this? That wasn't true. That's not the key. It's a useful tool in some capacity sometimes, but We're testing all over the place. Hasn't stopped this thing. We're masking up. Hasn't stopped this thing. We've done lockdowns. You see where I'm going with this. But guess what? Politicians don't want to tell you the truth, and they definitely want to control you. Take a look at the Trump campaign's efforts coming up next across the country to fight back as these ballot counting battles continue on. Stick around. Hey Team Buck, just want to say thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more great content from The First, please click that subscribe button.